Well, hello there. Welcome to the Rooted Founder Show. I have been behind the scenes organizing, building, and scaling businesses for the last 20 plus years. Yes, I look young, but I started really young. I graduated high school at 16 and started working for my father, who is most well known publicly as the co-host of the Real Estate Guys radio show. I had built several businesses with him, went off and built several of my own businesses, and since have organized and scaled many businesses working with all different types of entrepreneurs, leaders, visionaries, integrators, and learned a thing or two about what works, what doesn't, what are the roadblocks, the brick walls, the I cannot keep doing this, I gotta do something different moments that either propel or catalyst the change that we need inside of our organizations or hinder our growth. And so given all of these insights, given all of these hard knocks, given all of these plot twists, wrong turns, woulda, coulda, shoulda, 2020 hindsight, all of those lessons, I thought I really want to normalize the entrepreneurial journey. So many people set out to build businesses to create some type of freedom. Time, money, location, yet they end up trapped in the very businesses designed to create that freedom. And I think this happens for one of two reasons from a eyes open perspective. I think we get trapped because we lack systems or our passion consumes us, which also is a lack of personal systems. And we get in over our heads, we get out over our skis. I've heard another leader talk about when you're over your skis in terms of cash, when you're over your skis in terms of tech, when you're over your skis in terms of quality people, that's when you're going to feel it maybe 6-12 months later. And that's been my experience in business. You say yes to the wrong things, and then 6-12 months later, you really feel it. You make poor hires and you really feel it. You don't slow down to put the infrastructure or systems in place, and in 6 to 12 months, you really feel it. And I've done this personally. I've seen it over and over again. And I wanted just to be able to have conversations with thoughtful, reflective, thought leader entrepreneurs who are willing to look at the shadows, look at the demons, look at themselves, because we can't really scale our businesses unless we scale ourselves. And so I wanted to start this show to be able to have real, authentic conversations and normalize the entire entrepreneurial journey, not just the highlight reels, but like the real reels, the shit nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to say, oh, I got a bad Glassdoor review, or I lost my cool and I said this, or I hired an integrator and we almost didn't make it because I didn't know how to sit in the CEO seat. All of those things, we're having those conversations. So I hope that throughout this process, those listening really can see themselves in me, in one of our guests, in one of the stories that we share, and feel like, one, you're not alone in this entrepreneurial journey. Most entrepreneurs, we experience the same things. What makes one entrepreneur successful and another not is how we solve those things that come across our path on the entrepreneurial climb. And so we're going to share stories about, hey, this worked really well for me, or this was a complete train wreck, and I wish now with my 2020 hindsight, I would have done it like this. And one of the most overarching things in scaling an organization is freedom. And like I said earlier, we set out to create businesses to create some type of freedom, time, money, location. And I like to categorize time, money, location freedoms as our eyes open freedoms, the things that we can see with our eyes open. But oftentimes in our pursuit of those eyes open freedoms, we sacrifice our eyes closed peace. We forfeit our love, peace, joy, connection, community in order to have time, money, location. And I've watched entrepreneur after entrepreneur do this. Marriages crumble, relationships with their kids be non-existent, resentment grow, things that happen, like you're pursuing building this business because you so deeply want to provide and protect, be somebody of value, of meaning, of significance to your family, to your friends, to your community. And yet the thing that was designed to be able to provide that to you, sometimes we end up trapped in. And when we are trapped in our businesses, we aren't able to scale. We aren't able to get out from under that burden of pressure. And we feel like we're losing hope that this thing that we were so excited to do is no longer fulfilling or serving us. And we're trying to figure out, how can I do this thing? How can I create time, money, location, freedom, and also have eyes closed freedoms as well? Peace, love, joy. I personally believe you can have both. And it's being able to have not just a business operating system, but a human operating system. I jokingly say all the time, like, where is the human manual? Like, we all just became human and we're supposed to know how to manage our human. I don't know, but I need a human operating system. Where's the manual? What I'm starting to do, because I have a very much integrator mind, is create my human operating system, my human manual. This is how I operate me in order to create, for me, success is inner congruence. I heard Patrick Bet-David call it alignment. It's the ability to have your eyes closed reasons for doing eyes open things that are congruent. It allows for a level of integrity. And I've operated in ways that I've been incongruent, and I've operated in ways that I've been massively congruent. In fact, it's actually showing up on my DISC profile. So inside of our organizations, we use the DISC profile. And I, at one point, and maybe at some point I'll share the actual diagrams of it, but I was completely congruent. My natural wiring and my adaptive wiring were 100% in line. And during that phase of my life, I was so at peace in my eyes closed world, because my eyes open world and my eyes closed world were congruent. Then there's been times when my DISC profile was completely dysregulated, where I had my natural wiring and then there was a huge gap. So maybe my colored line was really high and my adaptive line was really low. I've had that with my eye, which I tend to be a high eye. I like people. I like talking to people. And my eye was really low. My eye naturally is high, and my eye adaptive was really low. And I noticed that I was kind of going into more of a low state. And it's because there was not enough community for me in the place that I was in. And so this is the power of environment. But all of that to say is, in order for us to have success, we have to have congruency. And in order for there to be sustainable success, we really have to have sustainable congruency. And in order to have that, we need to have systems in place to operate our human, my head, heart, emotions, body. And then we also, as entrepreneurs, have to have business operating systems. How do we lead people and run playbooks? Like, what is the process for doing that? I think everyone realizes at some point in their life that they need a human operating system, they need a life operating system, and they need a business operating system. I think every entrepreneur realizes this at some point. I think every human at some point realizes this. And the realization looks like this when it comes about in your life. And I bet everyone listening to this can have an experience in their own life that this has happened. I think every human at some point reaches an enough is enough moment. And this can come through a financial crisis, a health crisis, a relationship crisis, an economic crisis, anything. It could be a black swan, it could be a plot twist, it could be a massive betrayal. We have some type of crisis that says enough is enough. I don't care what my family thinks. I don't care what my friends think. I don't care what anybody thinks about me, but I'm not going to operate like this one more day. I cannot do it. I've got to make a change. I think every human has this experience in their life. And when we hit this enough is enough moment, I think we have one of two choices. We can numb or we can kneel. When we hit that enough is enough, numbing and kneeling are our two choices. I know people talk all the time about numbing being like the overindulgences, right? drinking, sex, drugs, pornography, whatever those things are that are just more really, really obvious numbing. But then there's just numbing where we over caffeinate, we overeat, we oversleep, we overcommit, we overschedule. It's over anything, like overdoing anything is my definition of numbing. And I take inventory of myself quite often to say, is there anything in my life that I'm avoiding? And if I'm avoiding it, I know it's only a matter of time before it's going to show up in my life, in my business, in my health, in my relationships. It's a 6-12 month delay, but it's coming for me. And so I sit with myself in reflection sessions and really take inventory of where all of my energy is going, all of my focus, all of my effort, and pulling all of those energy points back into myself to say, how can I kneel in this way? So kneeling to me, though, is not religious by any means. This kneeling is something that existed before scrolls, before the Bible, before the Quran. It's this place within oneself that we all retreat to when life gets heavy. We have to put everything in its place, compartmentalize, and get sucked all the way back into the core of who we are. And that is where we really, for me, identify sacred truth. Like, for me, these are my non-negotiables. These are my standards. These are my boundaries. These are the ways I want to show up in the world. These are the things that I'm passionate about. I don't want to build somebody's business that is not fulfilling for me. I don't want to wake up at the end of my life and say, gosh, I was amazing at what I did and I did it for everybody else. I want to be able to say, I did both. I did everything that was on my heart to do, and I found a tribe of people that had that same heart, and we did it together. That, for me, feels a lot more compelling and fulfilling versus self-sacrificing to make some level of achievement. So for me to get to that sacred truth within myself and to minimize the noise and the distractions, I call the act of doing that in my life divine discipline. And I used to be more into like 75 hard and that more high pressure dominating my human discipline. And believe me, that version of me, freaking fire. She gets so much done. It was well known in all of our communities that if you wanted something done, give it to Stacy. And that is powerful. And that's not all of me. And I don't think that's all of every business leader or entrepreneur. I think we have both sides. I think we have the hard charging, get it done, make it happen yesterday side of us. And we have the side that longs for connection and community and collaboration. And I think healthy businesses have both. We have both sides of that. So when we meet this place within ourselves where we're identifying how am I going to stay rooted as a leader while also expanding my reach, expanding my vision, expanding my offerings, expanding my team, expanding my playbooks, expanding all of these things without self-sacrificing, I think that's an infinite leader's journey. I think every infinite leader has to find their eyes closed reasons for doing eyes open things. And when we do, we have to be able to have integrated systems in order to accomplish that. We need to integrate our human, we need to integrate our life, we need to integrate our businesses, and we need to create productive environments for everybody around us to integrate as well. My natural wiring, so I've done the visionary integrator assessments many, many times. In the beginning, when I was sitting purely in the integrator seat, I scored very high as an integrator, but I also scored very high as a visionary. But at that time, I was a higher integrator than I was a visionary, but still both of them were over 80. And anything over 70 is considered high, so I was very high in both. Then, as I've gone through different business dynamics and organizational structures, and I've rolled into the visionary seat, I score way higher on visionary than I do on integrator. However, still both over 80, and my visionary integrator minds are still very active in both. I love the visionary seat because it feeds the the personality side of me that likes talking with people, likes being upbeat and outgoing and all of those things. And then the integrator side of me I love as well, because it really is the fuel that allows my visionary to do what my visionary does. And in business, we see this all the time with the visionary integrator dynamic. That's EOS term, but if you think of CEO, COO dynamic, somebody is the thought leader, expansion, they're more client focused, customer journey minded. And then you have an integrator who's taking the ideas of the visionary and translating them into executable playbooks that they then execute through people. And that's the integrator role. And they're more systems oriented, more logical. They are highly attuned to making sure right people in the right seats, doing the right things at the right time. Structure. In our business, we have a motto called, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. And so everything that we do gets put on the calendar. And if crisis happens, actually in the moment I'm recording this, a crisis happened yesterday. One of our team members is in the hospital with their kid. And they said, I can't make any of the meetings tomorrow. And I said, that's okay. I'll step in for you. And they said, it's fine. Everything's on the calendar. And it literally is on the calendar. Everything's on there. It's linked. I ran all the meetings. All the notes were there. And I was able to step into the seat that this person was sitting in very quickly because it was on the calendar. And that's just an example of having a system, a productivity system, a system that embodies and encourages and accounts for the fact that humans who are prone to making mistakes, prone to error, prone to having emotion, prone to having life happen to them, can still show up and operate within a system that even takes account for those things. So we need all of these systems and structures and ways of operating in order to be successful. I don't think I have found the end all be all. I think the journey of entrepreneurship is a continual learning, unlearning, making big mistakes, and then kicking yourself for the next 5 years that you made it. And then when it comes back around, as Alex Hormozy says, you go, oh, I've seen this before. I'm going to do it differently this time. And then you get a chance to do it differently. This Rooted Founder show is talking with people who are having big dreams, building big businesses, 7, 8, 9-figure businesses, facing all of the demons, all of the shadows, all of the self-sabotage that we do as leaders, and uprooting them, and then planting new seeds that grow new roots and new structures that flourish so that we can have an abundant life, an abundant business, and an abundant human. Someone that feels very intercongruent with who they are, how they're showing up, and the work that they're doing. And we're talking about all the messiness that it takes to get there, because it's not smooth sailing. There's plot twists all the time. So these conversations, I hope, inspire your soul, ignite your creativity, challenge the stories you're telling yourself that are holding you back, empowering you to make different choices, normalizing the entrepreneurial journey, and showing you through example after example that you can build a massive business and a beautiful life without sacrificing your sanity, your relationships, health, or drowning in operational chaos. We can have both. And I've been both. I've been the amazing CEO and I've been the crazy CEO. I've watched other people do the exact same thing. These systems that we talk through, the systems that I'm learning, the systems that we're experimenting with are how do we continually fine-tune our human, our life, and our business systems so we can get shit done while staying rooted. So I hope these stories, these messages, these conversations inspire your soul. And I hope this is not the only place we hang out. I hope that you join me on social media, that we show up in each other's inbox, in the comments feeds, at events, workshops, wherever it takes you. I hope that we connect not just virtually, but in person, because building business is a lot more fun with people. So I look forward to going on this journey with you, and I hope this resonates with you and makes an impact in your world.